Hey, it's Kim Komando today, your daily podcast to keep you up to date with all things digital and beyond. And I'd love to have you be a part of our podcast. You can make an appointment to speak with me. Just head over to komando.com, and on the top right, there's a button that says Email Kim. Fill that out, and that's it. Okay, now we're talking. Get this. Dyson, the makers of the best vacuum cleaner ever, they showed a video the other day at the International Conference on Robotics and Automation in Philadelphia. Okay, the big deal is that in this video, new robots, they have hands that can actually grasp objects. So what this means is that pretty soon we're going to have robots that can do the dishes. Yes, love that. Pick Legos up off the floor. Doesn't that hurt stepping on those? Or even find lost quarters or potato chips hidden beneath the sofa cushions. But what I really want is a robot to fold the laundry. I'll do anything. I'll wash the floors. I hate folding laundry. I mean, let me tell you, during COVID, I was so bored that I made a robot to distribute herbs. Yes, it helped me pass the time. Oh, yes, that was bad. And hey, thanks for being with us here. It's Kim Komando today because tech never stops. We've expanded my successful weekend radio show about everything digital to weekdays. And you can also get Kim Komando today as a podcast Monday through Friday, wherever you get your podcasts. Just search for Komando with a K, of course. And I'm sure you have at least a few questions about something digital I can lend a hand to. And our T-Mobile Unlimited listener line is now open at 1-888-825-5254 is the way to join us. And just a quick reminder, if you're too shy for the radio, I understand. I mean, you don't want millions and millions of people listening to you. Like, oh, what would I say? It would be horrible. You can always drop me your question over on my website. Head over to komando.com. And in the upper right-hand corner, there's a link that says Email Kim. And I'd like to thank ExpressVPN for helping to make this show possible. There's a $5 billion class action lawsuit against Google in California, where Google's accused of secretly collecting user data. Their defense? Yeah, get this. Incognito does not mean invisible. Well, you can stay invisible with a VPN and get 3 extra months free, but you have to go to this special address, expressvpn.com/Kim. That's expressvpn.com/Kim. Let's start with 5 things that you need to know about tech that's happening right now. And of course, the school shooting in Texas, it's all over the headlines. But let's think about it from a tech perspective. And once again, social media, Facebook, of course, is part of yet another mass shooting. I mean, think about this. How long will social media just skirt past its responsibility in these mass shootings? We now know that the Texas school shooter, Salvador Ramos, posted at least 3 Facebook warnings. 30 minutes before the school shooting, he posted, "I'm going to shoot my grandmother." A few minutes later, "I shot my grandmother." Then, 15 minutes before the school shooting, Ramos posted, "I'm going to shoot an elementary school." Now, if anyone can prove to me that Facebook, supposedly worth, $45 billion or so, cannot seem to create an algorithm to instantly detect these kinds of threats, well, I'm going to tell you something. I'll buy Twitter. I'll buy Facebook and get this incompetence cleaned up for good. It can be done if Facebook really wanted to get it done. So what can you do? Speak up. Contact your representatives and demand action. You might remember when Mark Zuckerberg sat on a few phone books because he sold 87 million user profiles without their permission, and on those phone books tried to explain to Congress it wasn't really his fault. That's right. Well, it hasn't gone away for little Zuckaroo, because here's what's going on. The big question is, why not hold big tech CEOs personally responsible when their company breaks the law? So over in Washington, D.C., that's exactly what's happening. Here's what's going down. The Washington, D.C. Attorney General, Karl Racine, he filed a lawsuit against Mark Zuckerberg. Now, that's the big deal. Not Facebook, but Zuckerberg himself over the Cambridge Analytica scandal. Now, Facebook is no longer Facebook. They're calling themselves Meta. And it was all an inside job where Facebook itself caused the security breach that exposed these Americans' personal information. And then Facebook spent years misleading people about its wrongful conduct. So the lawsuit claims that Zuckerberg just had to know what was going on because he had complete control over Facebook's operations. He was in charge, and he still is. So to big tech CEOs everywhere, this is a warning. All right, let's talk about your TV is watching you and tracking you, because there's a value on personal information. And let's just talk about TV manufacturer Vizio. I'm sure you've seen those TVs. And I think everybody knows by now that as you watch your big screen, it's watching you back. And it's collecting all your viewing habits, what you watch, how often, and how long you watch it. And all that data is super valuable. Get this. Vizio makes more money gathering and selling your personal data than their TVs collect, then they actually make selling the big screens. So Vizio is publicly traded, and last year they revealed that it made about $25 million selling big screens over the summer. Okay, but it made $56 million selling data about its customers. And if you want to know how to control the data that all these TV manufacturers are gathering about you, we have tips for the major TV makers over on my website. That's Komando.com, of course. Hey, here's a surprise. Cities where tech jobs are growing. Tech jobs are hot. And even though salaries are high and still growing, pay in some cities is higher than others, even for the same positions and levels of experience. And this was a new research report that put out this past week. So if you're thinking about moving and you're wondering about salaries, pay attention, because working from home changed everything. There's been a huge migration away from Silicon Valley and Northern California and major metro tech hubs to cities no one ever thought would be tech centers. Tech salaries in warmer climates are growing. In Tampa, salaries are up 10%, Miami, 11%. Now, in colder cities like Detroit and Philadelphia, salaries are still up 10%. Chicago, always a major American city, but never really considered a tech hub until now. Salaries are up almost 13%. But the big surprise is the former steel town of Pittsburgh. Even though winters are snowy and cold, tech sector jobs have seen an income growth of 14% in just the past 12 months. Speaking of Pittsburgh, people from Pittsburgh are often called Pittsburghers. Now, do you know what people from Hamburg are called? Germans. You thought I was going to say hamburgers. 1 in 4 EV charging stations don't work. What's that? Imagine never having to go to the gas station again. It sounds great, but the biggest problem facing electric vehicle owners is traveling long distances. So if you use your EV to run across town each day, no problem, you're good. But if you're driving to another city, you may have problems. The Achilles heel to all EVs, it's always been right now, the charging stations. We just simply don't have enough of them across America. So Tesla, of course, has led the way in building fast DC charging stations. If you're not driving a Tesla charging station is probably not going to work with your car. Now, Ford is fast-tracking some new stations, still not enough. And then there's this. Popular Science reports that the University of California at Berkeley investigated all 181 non-Tesla fast-charging sites in just the San Francisco Bay Area alone. Get this, 1 in 4 just don't work. So if you're traveling and you can't find a fast charger, conventional charging takes hours, but at least you're not paying those high gas prices, which reminds me, what does Elon Musk and a Tesla have in common? They both have a hard time staying in their lane. And finally, the most hyped tech device ever. Yes, what do you think it is? It's been promised us for decades. And tech journalists, they write stories that lead everyone to think they're almost here. For instance, one was just approved in the Slovakian Republic. Do you give up? I'm talking about the flying car. That's right. Any Google search will give you at least 5 stories showing one flying, or a startup's breathless announcement that, we're going to be building one. Here's the truth. Flying cars are actually aircrafts. And before any of them can fly, they have to receive what's called an FAA airworthiness. And the driver must have a FAA pilot's license. So don't get too excited. Flying cars are still not ready for prime time. All right, coming up in just a few moments, we're going to start all of your phone calls, as well as I've got a great tip on how you can instantly get more storage space on your phone here on Kim Komando Today. How'd you like to hear about how I saved $456 in just 5 minutes? I used an app called Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Can you remember all the free trials and all the other random subscriptions that you've signed up for? Of course you don't, and that's what they're banking on. I love that with Rocket Money, I can see all of my subscriptions in one place. Then if I see something I don't want, I just tap to cancel, and I never have to get on the phone with customer service. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year, with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things that you just don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Kim. That's rocketmoney.com/Kim. rocketmoney.com/Kim. 552-54 is the way to join us. And just a quick reminder, if you're not getting our Kim Komando Today newsletters, go sign up right now while you're thinking about it. They're free. Head over to komando.com/subscribe. That's komando.com/subscribe. And by the way, we're not going to sell your email address to anybody. You're just going to get our newsletters, komando.com/subscribe. All right, how about we start Kim Komando Today with George. Hi there, George.
Hi, Kim. It's such an honor to be on your show. It certainly is. Today's a beautiful day, too.
So how can I help you? What's going on?
Well, my wife and I are artists who work in gold and silver, and we do unique designs and custom designs, and we have a website. And the support that the website hosts and the other, WordPress, the way we put the site together, is usually pretty good. But they're always limited in what they can recommend and what they, because they're obviously working for, various plug-in makers and stuff. And the other thing is Google SEO fixing pages so that they come up to Google's standards and.
Well, it's one of those things when you have a web page, George, is that you've got to keep it updated. I mean, you've got to, every 6 months, at least every year, to look at it and go, am I optimizing? Am I looking at the current situation? Is it the right place to be? And are the buttons in the right spot? I actually took a look at your website. You make beautiful, beautiful Celtic art, necklaces and rings. Is that your background?
Well, my wife and I are both Celts, that's for sure.
Oh, wow. That's so beautiful. It's so, it was so, I was looking, I'm like, gosh, it's so, and you make all that by hand?
Yeah.
Wow.
We're just crazy artists who are passionate about making art, and jewelry is the thing that we like to make the most.
So do you need to have a website, or can you just have a shopping site?
What's the difference?
Well, because when I looked at your website, and your work is so beautiful, but it's not being showcased properly, and you don't have the elements that you need to get to the top of Google's SEO. And also, your website is not mobile responsive, and about 60% of all transactions now are happening with mobile. So we want to make sure that you guys are in the right spot, right? So there are companies like Squarespace, Wix, also Spotify, BigCommerce, that you can fill in a template. You don't have to worry about Bluehost and hosting it or whatever, WordPress or anything like that. And you're just going to have a very elegant, simple website that will tell the story about you and your wife. Maybe have a couple of videos about you guys talking about your art, and then inviting people to buy your existing pieces or commission something that they might want, right?
Uh-huh.
Okay, yeah, that's what I want. So how do I get that? And you want to do some email marketing, and you want to email newsletter along the way. And really, you need somebody to help you do this if you're not comfortable in pulling it all together. Is that what I'm hearing?
Well, not only the help, but also just candid observations like you just made.
Okay.
That will help.
So let me do this. Let us take you as our special project, okay? And let us put together some tips and maybe like a little bit of a how-to to get started, so that this way we'll take you to the next step, and then when you have questions along the way, you can always call me back. How about that?
Okay.
All right, because this isn't just a one, as you can see, you know this. It's not like, you just don't make a piece of art in 2 hours. This is a whole process, and that's the same thing when it comes down to figuring out, what you're going to be doing with your website. And if you don't already get our tips of the day, make sure that you sign up over at komando.com/subscribe. If you have a good website today, you have to always be thinking about the future. Okay, up next, there's Keith. Hello there, Keith. Let's talk about how you can instantly get more storage.
Hello, Kim. I don't know if you can help me, but I have purchased so many different headsets, Bluetooth headsets, and I'm talking, good ones, Plantronics and such, and they just the connection will just drop off, and whether it's my computer or my cell, and it's like I don't know what I'm doing wrong, but I'm looking for something that I can depend on.
And so, what's happening? Is it just losing the connection in the middle of a call? Does it matter whatever you're using? Are you on a Mac or Windows? I mean,
actually, when I spoke with your assistant a little bit, the call just dropped on my cell phone.
It is.
So, yeah. So I'm like, wow, see, it does happen, but there's no pattern, there's no consistency. And, this is my business line, if you will.
Right.
So I need that phone to work.
All the basics, you got all the updates for all the devices. And is it Windows or Mac that you're using?
It is Windows. Sorry, I should have said that.
And then what kind of phone?
I have a OnePlus 7.
Well, that should work. All that should work pretty fine. And, just to let you know, like the range before Bluetooth, you want to keep that around 10 feet. And that sounds like it's probably within 10 feet, right?
I'm inches away.
Okay. All right. It's really hard sometimes to diagnose and do tech support on the air. It really is.
Of course.
I can tell you that, if you are using earbuds, that you may have better luck with that because it's maybe the latest technology and that it may be more inclined to work with the newer stuff like the OnePlus phone and the Windows laptop, maybe than something like a Plantronics. I'm all Apple, so I'm using Apple AirPods and they work fabulously. John, our tech guy here, who's just great about everything. He keeps his Samsung earbuds in all day long. So maybe instead of looking at a headset, maybe you look at some of the, and I'm happy to point you to like even Raycon. Those are fabulous earbuds, and they're like $80. And so maybe you might have better luck in pairing those devices. But if you have all the system updates for your devices, and that includes your phone, and I mean, you really shouldn't have those type of issues. You could have maybe some interference, but even those problems have been solved over the years that now if you have a pair of earbuds, it's just like, oh, you have earbuds. Would you like to connect them? Yeah. Okay. So it's not like you have to go through all these gyrations. The only time that I find where my Bluetooth might not work properly is if I have multiple devices that are attached to it. And so where I have the AirPods attached to my MacBook, my phone, and my car, that sometimes it's like, okay, I'm confused. Where do you want me to be? So I'm like, I'm confused too. So, and that's where you have to actually pick it off the list.
Right.
So I would try, and I hate to make you go buy something else, but I would try, if you go to Raycon, raycon.com. And so I think if they're a sponsor on our podcast, not here on the show. But I use Raycons as well, is that if you use promo code Kim, I think you're going to save like 15% or something like that. So Raycon.com, and I've used them, I've tested them. Before I put my name attached to them, I did make sure that they worked with a lot of devices. We tested them here in the studios too. And you can go on Amazon, there's like 1,000 different earbuds, and I know that. So that's where, you kind of Samsung, you want to get those. If you're on anything else, you want to take a look at these Raycons. And if you're on Apple, it's really hard to beat the AirPod Pros. I mean, I know they're super expensive. They're like, triple the cost of the Raycons, but they are pretty darn good. And especially when you start working with all the electronics that go along with it. Carl in Fort Wayne, Indiana. And Keith, thank you for your call. Hi there, Carl. That message. It's like, oh, out of storage space. And before you panic, there is one insider trick to clear your phone storage with just a single tap. First, I want you to see what's taking up all the storage on your phone. It's really simple to do. On your iPhone menu, under General, you're going to find iPhone storage. Yes, genius, that's where it goes. And you're going to see how much space is being used for your photos, messages, media, apps, and system data. More importantly, you also see a list of all the apps on your phone, the last time you used the app, which was probably a long time ago, the space that the app is using, how much data, good stuff like that. Now, here's the trick. Find apps that you don't use all the time, because there's one button here called Offload Unused App. It removes the app from your phone and gives you back that storage space. But, it's a big but, backs up all the data you created using the app right to the cloud. That means you're not going to lose any of your document settings or data. When you want the app again, just download it and all your data will be there. Easy breezy. Hey, coming up, how you can buy unclaimed Amazon packages online here on Kim Komando Today. How'd you like to hear about how I saved $456 in just 5 minutes? I used an app called Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Can you remember all the free trials and all the other random subscriptions that you've signed up for? Of course you don't, and that's what they're banking on. I love that with Rocket Money, I can see all of my subscriptions in one place. Then if I see something I don't want, I just tap to cancel, and I never have to get on the phone with customer service. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year, with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things that you just don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Kim. That's rocketmoney.com/Kim. rocketmoney.com/Kim. Things that you need to know before you actually need to use it. And before we get to that and all of your phone calls, have you ever wondered what happens to online orders that the USPS or Amazon just can't deliver? Well, it all actually gets sold online, often at really cheap prices. Now, there are a few websites where you can bid on unclaimed packages. One website is called govdeals.com, and the UPS actually has a contract with them to auction off undelivered goods. Now, fortunately, you're not bidding on a mystery box. You don't know what's in there. You actually see a photo and a description. Now, another website to check is liquidation.com. Now, you can filter by brand or retailer. This includes packages and undelivered goods from Amazon, Target, Walmart, Wayfair, Home Depot. But you also see like pallets of like maybe 100 flashlights and things like that over at liquidation.com. And in these auction details, you get the description, of course, the closing time, the estimated retail value. Now, the downside, some products that you're bidding on may have been returned, may not be in pristine condition, and once you buy something, you just can't return it. So make sure you really want it. The sites again, govdeals.com and liquidation.com. All right, back to the phones we go with Megan. Hi, Megan.
Hi, Kim.
Welcome. What's going on?
I'm stumped. So I hope. Well, I'm sure you'll. I'm sure you can help me. What happened is I got an email from a travel company, and I wasn't subscribed, so I thought that's odd. And I went to unsubscribe, and it showed someone else's name, and I thought that's weird. And so then I wondered, how did that happen? And so I'm going, well, maybe I'll Google or something. So I Googled my email, and I found on Spokeo or Spoke. You can laugh if I'm mispronouncing.
No, that's okay. One of those people search sites. Yeah.
And I found that it was listed for some guy who has the same last name as and is in the same town and state as the woman who I got the travel email from. So I don't know if I'm being spoofed, they're being spoofed, or
Somebody's
my
being
identity
spoofed.
there. I don't know what's going on.
And is that the only place where you saw it?
Yeah, and I've done it, I've looked up my identity, and I've found mistaken in there. So, I mean, I'm not going to conclude anything, but it just made me wonder,
Well, sure. And I mean, and with all the data that's being tracked about us, it's not uncommon for there to be mistakes. And like, for example, on my husband's credit report, there was his last name, but it was a woman who was located in another state, and she was racking up credit cards, and it took a while to get through that. So it's really a good idea for you to keep track and to take a look at your credit report if you haven't already done that. I mean, you can get your free credit report. You go to annualcreditreport.com. Have you done that?
Oh, I don't know that one. Okay, thank you.
So if you go to annualcreditreport.com, and don't go anyplace else. And by the way, they're going to try to upsell you along the way. All right? I'm just going to tell you that right up. So you got to be careful where you click. Don't click for any type of monitoring service or anything like that because it's totally free. And the way that they make money is that they try to spoof you and trick you into buying things. Okay. So once you take a look at your credit report, then it gives you an idea, and you get a free credit report every quarter from one of the agencies. Got Experian, TransUnion, Equifax, and then you can take a look and see exactly what's on there.
Okay.
And it's a good idea to do that because then you can see what your credit rating is. And you sometimes with your credit cards too, is that they'll give you a free annual credit report too. So take a look at one of your benefits, some of your credit cards, because you may be able to get it that way. And if you're concerned about it, a great way to make sure that nothing is truly happening with your credit is by doing what's called a credit freeze. And so essentially, nobody's allowed to apply for credit in your name unless somebody will reach out to you and say, oh, hi, this is Megan. And here's the deal is that we need you to take a look at her credit report and open that up because she's applying for a home loan. And if they contact you and you're like, I don't know anything about a home loan, then you know that somebody's trying to tap into it. But the credit freeze is absolutely free. Okay. And so those are two free ways that you can keep track of something there. And if something is wrong in these public databases too, keep in mind, is that you can request to have that information removed. And it's not always easy to do. Of course, as you might imagine, this is the internet and they want to make you jump through a bunch of hoops and chains and, give out gang signs and hieroglyphics in order to do this. But there are ways that you can remove your information out of these public databases, and it varies from site to site. Over at Komando.com, and we've got a list of these sites, and I'll post a link to it in the Q&A forum, and the various people finder sites and the ways that you can get yourself out of them. Have you ever looked at that website called FamilyTreeNow.com?
I might have. I've done a little. I'm not really into genealogy, but I've done a little bit of looking there. I have.
Yeah, because that's another one that you definitely want to get yourself out of.
All right.
It's set up as just what you thought, right? It's set up as you think it's like a genealogy site because it sounds like that, right? FamilyTreeNow.com.
I don't think I did the now. I don't think I went on one that was now, but I'll check.
This is totally different, Megan. I want you to type your name into this, where you live, just city and state, and then you'll be shocked at how much information is available about you.
Yeah.
It'll be your name, spouse, partners, kids, parents, relatives, maybe even like ex-boyfriends, ex-girlfriends that have somehow been tied to you. You'll see maybe your cell phone number, your landline number. And in addition to that, you'll see every address where you ever lived. And so it was really interesting because my son lives in Los Angeles. He's going to USC. And he was asking me like, hey, where'd you live on Lynbrook? I'm like, gosh, I don't know, Ian. That was like eons ago. I mean, I can look on a Google Street View. And so I was trying to look on Google Street View. I'm like, well, I don't remember. I mean, I lived on that street for like 3 months in my 20s. I don't remember. My early 20s.
And I was there. Oh.
Yeah, and so who knew? And so I went on, not Family Tree Now, there was another website called Cluster Maps, and there was the address on where I lived on Lynbrook. So I'm like, okay, I don't remember, but the internet remembers every single thing that's out there. So the site that I saw it at was at Cluster Maps. So we have information about how to remove yourself from cluster maps. It's been one of our big trending stories over the past week at Komando.com. And then in addition to that, how to remove yourself from Family Tree Now. And we've got some tips on getting your annual credit report and how to freeze your credit. I'll put them all in a handy dandy post for you over at the Q&A forum inside Komando.com, inside the Komando community, of course. That's Komando.com/community. And Megan, thank you so much for your call. All right, let's go ahead and do a great tip. And this week is brought to you by Total AV. Countless threats on the internet, phishing sites, password stealing malware. You might think, hey, the more security you have, the better. Okay, but you don't want to stack up a whole bunch of different security programs. You just need one good one. And that's Total AV. It's easy to use, offers the best protection. In fact, it's received the renowned VB100 award for detecting more than 99% of malware samples for the last 3 years in a row. And the protection plan covers up to 5 of your or your loved one's devices under a single plan. So whether they're on Windows, Mac, iOS, or Android, install the easy-to-use app and you're protected. Now, as a Kim Komando Today listener, you have an exclusive discount. You get the first year of Total AV for only $19, but you have to go to this address, protectwithkim.com. It covers 5 devices, $19 at protectwithkim.com. That's protectwithkim.com. All right, this is a tip I hope that you never, ever, ever have to use. But I'm going to talk about how you can record video on your phone super fast in situations that maybe you're in some kind of danger, maybe even pulled over by the police. But let's talk first about how to record video on an iPhone in an emergency. When the screen is locked on your iPhone, press the power button on the side. Now, there's no need to open your phone. Simply press the camera button on the lower right for about 2 seconds. Now, press and hold the shutter button, and here's the magic. Photo mode will instantly turn into video mode, and then a video will start recording. Now, since there are so many different Android phones, I can't give you the exact slam dunk steps that work for all. But generally, you're going to double tap the power button to bring up the camera app and then press and hold the shutter button to take a video. So, why don't you try this now while you're thinking about just practice? And if you've got kids in the family, I want you to make sure that they know how to do that too. Coming up, we have more of your terrific phone calls as well. We're going to talk about how you can find every Wi-Fi network password you've ever used. And then later on, Facebook, do they really listen in on all your conversations? I know, and you'll know too if you stay with us here with Kim Komando Today. How'd you like to hear about how I saved $456 in just 5 minutes? I used an app called Rocket Money. Rocket Money is a personal finance app that finds and cancels your unwanted subscriptions, monitors your spending, and helps you lower your bills all in one place. Can you remember all the free trials and all the other random subscriptions that you've signed up for? Of course you don't, and that's what they're banking on. I love that with Rocket Money, I can see all of my subscriptions in one place. Then if I see something I don't want, I just tap to cancel, and I never have to get on the phone with customer service. Rocket Money has over 5 million users and has helped save its members an average of $720 a year, with over 500 million in canceled subscriptions. Stop wasting money on things that you just don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions by going to rocketmoney.com/Kim. That's rocketmoney.com/Kim. rocketmoney.com/Kim. Backup rechargeable battery SimpliSafe protects your whole home around the clock, even during a power outage. You can claim a free indoor security camera plus 20% off with interactive monitoring at simplysafekim.com. Once again, that's simplysafekim.com. Just a quick reminder, you can catch the Kim Komando show here Saturday and Sunday nights, all 3 hours on WLS. Or you can always listen online, wherever you are, at WLSAM.com. Once again, that's WLSAM.com. Makes sense. And if you haven't already, make sure that you get The Current. Yes, they're a proud sponsor of Kim Komando Today. It's a newsletter about tech that comes out twice a week. You can see a sample, and you can sign up right now. There's no ads over at getthecurrent.com. Once again, that's getthecurrent.com. All right, before we go back to your phone calls, this is really interesting. Whether you're on Windows or Mac, you can see every single wireless network you've ever connected to, along with the network's password. So on my Wi-Fi list, I found airport terminals, friends' homes, and a reminder that I really should have left a negative Yelp review for your really, really bad Italian restaurant. Ugh, what a waste of time and money. Anyway, this tech trick is super handy when you want to use a wireless network that you didn't connect to automatically, and you forgot the password. So heads up, you got to do a little bit of digging, but if you're on a Mac, you're going to go to your keychain. Just search for keychain access, open it and tap passwords. Then you find the Wi-Fi network name, show password. If you're using Windows, of course, not that straightforward. You're going to go to Network and Sharing Center and then Connections. And either way, every Wi-Fi network password is right there, right in front of you. All right, how about we close this Kim Komando Today with Charles. Hi, Charles.
Well, hello. How are you?
I'm fantastic, sir. How can I help you?
And it is so great to talk to you yet again. And I want to emphasize to everybody that you do actually read every email, every letter. You've answered me twice now, each time I've called or emailed, and granted me this opportunity here to talk to the great one. So I really appreciate it.
Well, Charles, you know what? You are a Southern gentleman. I can tell that right now. And thank you for your kind words.
That's what you said last time.
Oh, I did? Well, you still are, let me tell you.
I sound too Southern, I know.
That's okay. I'm from the North.
Okay. I needed some help.
Okay.
I just bought new to me a 2018 Toyota Highlander. I love it, but it lacks in the technology. And I use an iPhone and love CarPlay. So we pulled that out and put in a Kenwood, one of the new 10.1-inch floating screens.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, it was pretty slick.
How much did that? How much did you pay for that? I'm just curious.
Well, the DMX 1037S was 12 and change, and then you had to have the harness to make it work with the steering wheel and
of course,
all that fun stuff. So after the big box got done with me, it was about $1,800.
Oh, okay. Wow. Yeah, you know what? It's expensive, and you watch, Charles, you and I will be talking about this like 5 years from now, and you'll say, hey, Kim, do you remember when I bought that? Now you can put that in the car for like $50. So.
Yeah, I almost didn't believe that people did this anymore, and I still had to wait a couple of weeks to get it put in because it's so busy.
Well, used car prices are crazy. The used car marketplace, it's hard to find a used car, but anyway. So, all right, so you have this Toyota, and what's going on with it, with the Kenwood? What's going on?
Well, it's everything's working perfectly. But what I'm worried about is now since I pulled out a dedicated GPS system and I'm using either Google Maps or Waze, that when I'm traveling from South Carolina to Wisconsin, there's a pretty good chance I'm going to run out of cell signal at some point. And I know with Google Maps, you can download portions of it onto your cell phone, but how do I do that? And will that automatically go over to CarPlay?
Oh, well, number one, you can download the apps to use them offline. I can send you the steps on how to do that. It's not very difficult. You just open up and then you open up the Google Maps and then you search for a place like Madison, Wisconsin. And then you just click on more, and then you're going to download the offline map, and then it's just downloaded. So it's just a series of steps for you to do that. And then after you download the map, you just use Google Maps app as you normally would. And then if the connection is lost, then the offline map will just automatically appear for you.
Oh, that sounds too easy.
I know, isn't it, though? So you see, sometimes things in technology actually work, right? So it's like, no, tell me, did it really work? Okay, one thing that it won't give, but not that you're interested in it, but it won't give you transit, biking, or walking directions offline. You only get driving directions offline. So there you go.
Well, that sounds great. Now, will that work with a CarPlay system,
Sure.
or would that just be on my phone?
No, it'll work with CarPlay. It'll work with CarPlay. It's not a big deal. You're just gonna load that map in before you leave. It's actually a good idea for you to do that because when you're driving around, it does seem like that you do lose your connection. Then you're like, whoa, heck, where do I go now? But just don't be one of those people, Charles. Promise me that they follow the GPS. You've heard me talk about them. They follow that GPS and they go like off a cliff. they go into, not too long ago. I think what happened in Florida where the guy actually went onto a golf course. That's right. Because the GPS told him to drive. And so he ended up getting stuck like at a sand pit at a golf course. And then the police had to come. They had to tow this guy out. And when they asked him what happened, and it was just like during the day. This wasn't at night. He's like, oh, well, the GPS told me to take a right, and that's what I did. Charles, thank you for your call. Don't be a stranger. You can call me more often. I don't know why everybody on the internet and on the entire world needs to know what my house looks like. You can do that. Actually, you can really do that. We have the steps on also how to remove your phone number. Maybe if you have a bank account online for some reason and the numbers out there are free for the taking. Google has done a really good job recently of letting you get rid of personal details. And we've got a lot of step-by-step instruction guides over at Komando.com on how to do that. Just search for, say, blur Google House or erase phone number from Google or something like that in the search. Yes, an online ad just pops up on your computer or smartphone for the very So is this a coincidence? Now, from a technical standpoint, Facebook and apps can have full access to your smartphone's mic to listen and record everything you say, even if the app isn't running. So yes, snooping can easily be done. Now, big tech companies, especially Facebook, hey, ours out there, no, we would never ever do that. But let's keep them honest. On your iPhone, open your settings menu, then go to privacy and mic and uncheck any apps that have access to your phone's microphone. If you're on Android, you'll find the same thing under settings and applications, and then you can also tap to turn off your phone's mic. Now, it's not 100% foolproof, but it is a start. And the other thing you have to remember is that while Facebook may not be listening, some other app that you gave permission to is going to collect that data and then sell that to Facebook. So then it looks like and it sounds like and it feels like Facebook's listening, but they're not necessarily doing all the snooping. Hey, listen, thanks for being here and thanks for joining me here with Kim Komando today. And just a quick reminder, you can get the podcast wherever you get your podcast for Kim Komando today, Monday through Friday. And while you're at it, make sure that you give us a great 5-star review. And you can always find me 24/7 at komaindio.com. You got me. It's Kim Komando today, and I'm here with you just the facts and tips you need to thrive in our digital world. Or, as I like to say, to live the best digital life ever.
For the ones who get it done, the most important part is the one you need now. And the best partner is the one who can deliver. That's why millions of maintenance and repair pros trust Grainger. Because we have professional-grade supplies for every industry, even hard-to-find products. And we have same-day pickup and next-day delivery on most orders. But most importantly, we have an unwavering commitment to help keep you up and running. Call, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.